The mission of the Bartlesville Police Department is to enhance the quality of life in our community by working cooperatively with the public and within the framework of the United States Constitution to enforce the laws, preserve the peace, reduce fear, and provide a safe environment for all of our citizens. Hello, and welcome to Behind the Badge. We are so excited to be here with you and to be able to bring Behind the Badge to you every week. It is our hope that you gain a certain amount of education through what we are doing, and in so build trust and see the transparency in which we are trying to put out to our citizens that we serve here in Bartlesville and Washington County. Every week we will have a featured guest that will speak to you on various topics concerning law enforcement and how it impacts you, the citizen of Bartlesville and in Washington County. This week we are very privileged to have Sergeant Daniel Elkins, who is one of the supervisors of our Criminal Investigation Division. Sergeant Elkins, thank you for being here today.
And thank you for having me.
It's very important that Sergeant Elkins was here on our very first episode of Behind the Badge because it is part of your work and thought process that put Behind the Badge into play and put us on the map as far as getting things done with Behind the Badge. Sergeant Elkins has been with the Bartlesville Police Department a little over 7 years, and prior to that he served our country for 7.5 years in the United States Army. So thank you for serving the citizens of Bartlesville and more importantly for serving our country. So we're glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for doing all the work that you've done to make Behind the Badge go from a thought to reality. It's a very exciting time, and because of your work, here we are, and the citizens will benefit from this, as will law enforcement in Washington County and in Bartlesville. So, Sergeant, what is the purpose of Behind the Badge?
Well, the purpose is, as you mentioned just a second ago, is transparency. The fact is, the story's going to be told, with what the police department does regardless. And with today and information, it's time for us to get in the driver's seat and tell our own story. All too often that narrative can grow to be something that isn't often true. And so we just want to take a more proactive role and tell our own story, also in trying just to engage our citizens and on a whole nother level. We understand that there's multiple different levels or platforms that people receive news or engage the police department. For some people that might be the newspaper. Some people may turn to technology more often. So this is just another platform that we can get out there, talk to our citizens, and tell our own narrative.
So with this vehicle for communication, it's our hope, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's our hope to let our citizens know, those people who we swore to protect and serve, to let them know what we're doing for them and to let them know of other issues that may be affecting them as far as law enforcement or criminal justice type issues.
Absolutely.
We have a very supportive community of law enforcement, and it's time for us to give back through transparency, through an open dialogue of communication to them so that we can continue to grow their trust and their belief in us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a great community here. I mean, all too often, I've watched, national news and seen some conflict involving law enforcement, unfold, and then you see kind of a negative response from some of the citizens. And, and really I've kind of, felt really, like undeserving of the support that we get. All too often, you see these other officers in various parts of the nation, being treated as a second-class citizen, and then we're over here having churches and individuals, bring us food and cookies and send cards in and just really love on us. And so we're really fortunate to have the community that we have, and this is going to be a great way to give back through a variety of different guest speakers and just being able to, talk about issues.
Absolutely. So why is it important for our citizens to have a program like Behind the Badge?
Well, again, we're going to touch back on that transparency and let them know what's going on, as well as give the perspective of each guest speaker that comes on each week. Sometimes that guest speaker, may directly play a role in law enforcement, if that's going to be someone in the judicial side of government, or if that's going to be a state legislator that's writing state questions and House bills and stuff like that. Or we might have a police wife here, police children. We might even highlight some work that some of our officers, kind of that voice of a good job done by some of our officers. So when we can tell their perspective, the perspective from the guest speaker's point of view, that's always a benefit. We can always, learn from them. All too often, we'll have these people in various, play a various cog in the machine, coming right along with us. And, when they are actually walking up with that officer, seeing how that officer directly handles that call, as they see the citizens that are going through a life-altering, incident, hence why the police are there. When they experience that and their perspective change, it would be an injustice for us to keep their story to themselves,
I agree. So basically it's bringing people in as featured guests to give different perspectives on things that impact our citizens, whether it be through law enforcement, criminal justice, mental health, state lawmakers, judges, school representatives, those people that we have relationships with or that we have partnerships with who share the common goal, and that's to keep our people in our community as safe as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what should the viewers expect every week on Behind the Badge?
Well, we're going to go to a weekly production. Our first episode is going to air March 25th. It's a Wednesday at 1 p.m. We're going to try to keep that consistent pattern of every Wednesday at 1 p.m. We already have a wide variety of guest speakers lined up that is going to be entertaining to watch.
And those speakers, not only will they be entertaining, they'll also be educational. And that's the goal, is to educate our community on the good that we're doing and the things that we could be doing better. We're not here to sugarcoat anything. We're going to be very open, and we've used the word transparent several times. We'll be very transparent with what we do here on Behind the Badge. Some of the things will be lighthearted. Some of the things will be very serious and very impactful to people. But we think that it's important to tell the real narrative and to tell the truth about what goes on, not just in law enforcement, but in the criminal justice world as a whole. So we're very excited about that. You mentioned every week on Wednesday, 1 p.m., starting on March the 25th.
March the 25th.
And what platforms can our viewers see Behind the Badge?
We're primarily going to be operating on the Bartlesville Police Department Facebook page. We also have a Behind the Badge Instagram, and we'll be sharing both the videos through both those platforms, probably via a YouTube link, so you can find us on YouTube as well.
Very good. And one of the exciting things about Behind the Badge is we want citizen input. If there's a topic that they would like for us to discuss, or if there's something that they don't know, questions that they have, please supply those responses to on those platforms so that we can integrate it into the next episode or answer any specific questions that people may have.
Yeah, absolutely. We're cops first. We didn't go to school for multimedia, so we're definitely open for tips or any future any concerns within the community or the job we're doing or things you'd like to see. So feedback is always a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, Sergeant Elkins, again, thank you for your work for making Behind the Badge a reality. I'm very excited about the future, and we owe a large part of that to you and your hard work. So thank you. Until March the 25th at 1 o'clock, where we will be back to visit with you again, we hope that you stay safe and spread the word that Behind the Badge is coming March the 25th, 1 o'clock. Until then, stay safe and take care.
Thank you. I'll be reading those comments. Looking forward to your comments. Thanks.